Welcome back to the Coin Lady channel. Many topics will be covered in this video. Everything I'm about to say revolves around this one thing, XRP, the currency that moves all the money around the world every day. I'll tag it as an XRP video so you'll all get alerted when it's uploaded. Getting my money out of the bank and into cryptocurrency was the smartest financial decision I've ever made, and I think most of you would agree with me on this. I think the current banking system is rapidly disintegrating, and that its proponents are trying to keep this fact from the general public, the people outside of crypto, the normies of the world. Biden thus concludes that the banking crisis has not yet ended. But last week he assured us that banking with us is risk-free, so keep that in mind. Anyone who continues to believe the official story that the banks are safe and the government will save us all is doomed to financial ruin, in my opinion. After a while, to succeed, you must ignore their advice. Don't believe the assurances that the banks are secure. Don't believe the hype that the stock market is risk-free just because someone says so. We are aware that they are engaged in an all-out war against crypto as well. Still, crypto is the only thing I see that has a chance of saving the current banking system, and they refuse to adopt it because they want it to fail. They are rooting for its dissolution. Another largely unnoticed bank hoax. This financial institution is the daddy of them all. Evergrande China Holdings. Also, you can see it. Nobody seems to be talking about how quickly they are disintegrating. Not much has been discussed about this yet. Now consider this. A shitcoin, that's what this is. Today, business at Silicon Valley Bank was reopened. Take a good look at that big red candle. After this, do you think it's at all secure to bank there? Would you trust that bank with your savings? Because I wouldn't do it. But I also know that there are people who put their faith in the story presented by this bank and continue to do business with it. It's not just the United States, either. The French government is looking into a fraud case worth €100 billion, which led to a raid on 5 major banks. Furthermore, the governments of France and Germany are jointly investigating allegations of money laundering by a network of financial institutions. Now, HSBC is the one that jumps out at me because I seriously doubt it's been a month. In a video, I implied that I think HSBC is fraud without providing much evidence. There's obviously something wrong, I thought. Finally, we can see that the French government is conducting bank raids. Breaking. That has been confirmed. The central bank's digital currency will soon be available. Christine Lagarde, president of the European Central Bank, has stated that banks will lose authority if they do not adopt a centralized digital currency. So this is what they are after. The CBDC is desired. Since some countries have amassed enormous amounts of debt, they seek a level playing field. They want to start over, or reset. Let me see if I understand this. Because of bank failure, the US dollar is in danger of losing its status as the world's reserve currency, and you people are selling cryptocurrency for US dollars and depositing the money in your banks. Yellen warns that the US dollar could lose its position as the world's reserve currency. It seems to me that finally, people are catching on to the truth of the situation. Now Fox News and CNN have reported it, and she is saying it herself. My prediction is that the US dollar will decline. In this video, I'll explain why I think this will happen this summer. That means the dollar may no longer be the world's preferred reserve currency. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen testified before a Senate committee on Wednesday and warned that a loss of faith in the US dollar could lead to the dollar's dethroning as the world's reserve currency. If the United States government were to stop paying its bills, it would be the first time since 1789, shattering confidence in the country as a haven for those seeking security. The fact that our currency is held in reserve and used all over the world. Listen to what I have to say. The United States has been failing for some time now. Take a look at our staggering $32 trillion in debt. Furthermore, you're completely insane if you think now is a good time to convert your cryptocurrency holdings into US dollars. When the price of XRP reaches its high point, I am still confident that we will not convert it to US dollars. If I had to pick one metal, it would be silver. Gold. When that time comes, the reserve currency of the world will likely have shifted. The future of this is currently unknown. Who do you think will emerge as the most powerful nation? Is the digital yuan used today or in 50 years' time going to be the most popular currency? And we see how they're already pushing forward in China with the digital one, and people still don't pay attention to this. So what makes you think the US CBDC isn't coming up next? You try to show them the truth about the world, but they refuse to believe you. That is the precise reason for this development. The Bank of Japan has warned CBDC that it is not yet prepared to provide secure digital payment services. The Bank of Japan has stated that it must be prepared to issue a CBDC in order to provide the public with a secure digital payment system. In particular, Reuters also reported the same thing. This is Governor's statement. The country's central bank will launch a pilot program in April to test the functionality of a digital yen. I can't even say that name on Tuesday. They also join an expanding group of nations that are working to create a national digital currency backed by their central bank. Now that so many nations are testing out CBDCs, I think we can expect them to launch at any time. In my opinion, everything is all set. Sandman operation. All systems go. I'll tell you why this place is terrifying. If you look closely enough, you can see for yourself what we've been warning about for over a year now. The Saudi Minister of Finance announced on Bloomberg TV that Operation Sandman has been activated, and the country will now accept all currencies for settling oil transactions. The United States agreed to defend the Saudi kingdom in exchange for the Saudis demanding US dollars as settlement for an oil transaction, cementing the petrodollar status of the US dollar and laying the groundwork for the country's ability to export inflation around the world. Since the Bretton Woods Conference in 1944, this agreement has kept the value of the dollar stable. However, we must now terminate this contract. Few Americans understand the full impact on their finances and future. More than 100 countries are ready to abandon the petrodollar as the primary currency for oil settlements, but few people know this. There are still over 100 countries and 1 trillion people who believe the US dollar is about to collapse. They are going to move quickly to complete this. It will appear to have occurred overnight. I think this will take place between now and the summer, and I'm telling you that right now. And when it does, you'll be glad you have crypto in your possession rather than fiat currency sitting in a bank. Learn about the foundation of the CBDC in this July read. That's why I'm anticipating its arrival in July. They're probably trying to get a jump on whatever is coming by doing this. On Wednesday, the Federal Reserve announced that in July, the FedNow service would be available to all US banks, providing the foundation for a centralized clearing and settlement system, or CBDC. Financial experts recommend connecting individual banks directly to the Federal Reserve. Now, initially, nobody was calling this a digital currency issued by a central bank. They claimed it was a CBDC but rather something else. Nobody thought it would do well as a CBDC in the United States, so it wasn't distributed that way. They are now emphatically revealing its nature to you. As CBDCs continue to attract attention and research from around the world, protecting users' privacy is becoming increasingly important. This appears to have originated from Ripple. Because of worries about centralized authorities keeping tabs on CBDCs and digital assets, this paper explores the motivations for and levels of privacy in CBDCs. Central banks, commercial banks, and business people are all vital participants in the CBDC's off-the-record discussions. Consumers' right to privacy in the age of technology. The effects of current and potential regulations on CBDCs. Ripple appears to be on board with the CBDC's privacy initiatives, which is encouraging given that this is a top concern for everyone. You should know that whenever a CBDC is mentioned, the first thing people think of is, oh, the slavery system, they could cut off your money. They have anticipated your spending habits. That bothers them tremendously. Some people might be more open to the idea of a CBDC if stricter privacy regulations were in place. It's starting to become glaringly obvious. Crypto on permissionless networks vs. central bank digital currencies, where the latter means tyranny. Many people are speaking out against CBDCs now, and that makes me hopeful that cryptocurrency investors will have more freedom of choice in the near future. Perhaps crypto will function independently of a CBDC. Who can say what will happen next at this point? I'd like to make a comment about this, so bear with me. Hours after releasing her veto statement on March 10th, Noam went on Tucker Carlson tonight to criticize the update and precursor to a central bank digital currency and to present herself as a standard bearer for other state legislatures and governors. This factor will be considered when making changes to the commercial code in 2019 and 2020. According to Kristi Noem. During her appearance, she announced that the same language would soon be implemented in over 20 additional states. I think it's so the federal government can eventually control our currency and, by extension, us. This new version of the UCC guidelines should sound alarm bells for everyone. 20 additional states in the United States are working on similar legislation to ban CBDCs. Which choice will it be? When will we see the conditions that lead to a CBDC? The collapse of the US dollar is something I'm still convinced is inevitable at this point. But they are keeping the public in the dark, with the exception that they are suddenly opening up about it. If the world's banking system were to suddenly fail, those who hold XRP could become extremely wealthy. Don't sell your XRP without first knowing exactly how much you have, and why doing so would be a huge mistake. In the XRP community, it's still too soon to tell for how long. It was commonly advised not to cash out too soon. That, I think, is truer now than it has ever been. If I could travel back in time to before 2020, I'd find that everything we discuss now sounds like a wild conspiracy theory. It's impossible for the value of the dollar to decrease. But now BRICS is banding together to oppose it. Despite the impossibility of CBDCs, they're being built in every country. I still think this 100% XRP is our best chance to get rich before everything falls apart, so keep that in mind at all times. I think we're seeing the beginnings of a turnaround in the market right now. I have faith that XRP can experience a meteoric rise, even a parabolic one, that will ultimately benefit all of us. The bottom line is that you shouldn't convert your earnings to US dollars and deposit them in a bank account. I know there will be other options in the future, so I understand why you want to come up and wait for them. In my opinion, the transition to a cashless society has already begun. Something big is going to happen this summer, I think, when everyone is preoccupied with making travel plans and packing for their trips. That's something we won't know about just yet. Black swan events, in which widespread disasters such as power outages are predicted, come to mind. Problems with the web were discussed. Everything seems to be pointing toward a currency collapse, so I expect that to be the outcome. The evidence points in that direction. And as I've said, this seems like the year that everything finally collapses. Nonetheless, I think that's enough talk for this video. I appreciate everyone who has tuned in. Thanks to everyone who has watched my videos. Please like and subscribe my channel. See you later, bye.